Hello, Tingle Minions. I got a funky thing in the mail yesterday or the day before. I actually forgot that I ordered it. The Harry Potter trading card game. It's the 2-player starter set. Now, if you've seen kind of my back catalog of videos, then you'd be familiar with some of my Magic the Gathering unboxing videos. And the company that makes or produces those cards is called Wizards of the Coast. And for a short time, they also produced these collectible Harry Potter trading card sets, and they're no longer published, which is kind of exciting because I managed to get my hands on a new set. So I ordered these ones out of Russia, which might be why I forgot that I ordered them, because it took them a long time to get here to Canada, even though we're next door neighbors. So, very, very nice little surprise. And I thought we could open them together. So if there's any Harry Potter fans, then I hope you enjoy the artwork and little pieces of story on these cards. As a side note, I wasn't actually going to open these. I was going to leave them closed for a few more years, but I really kind of want to play it. I know it's more of a child's game, but I mean, we're all children at heart, right? So I am actually going to open it because I would like to see the cards and play it and all that stuff. So that's what we'll do together. So let's first just take a look here at the packaging. So of course you've got the Harry Potter logo up at the top. This is the 2-player starter set. So there's 2 sort of decks in here. And the artwork here looks like maybe it's in Diagon Alley, or one of those sort of legendary places in the Harry Potter world. So, and then on the back, we've got some information here. Choose your magic wand. Welcome to Hogwarts. With the Harry Potter trading card game, you join the other wizards at school in a duel. Then you summon creatures, use magic potions, and cast spells to make their cards disappear first. If you do that, you win. So it's kind of like a very simplified version of Magic the Gathering in some ways. The game is based on the first enchanting book in the Harry Potter series. Collect and play with your favorite characters like Harry, Hermione, and Ron. You'll recognize many creatures and spells from the book, but some are all new. Enter Harry's magical world. And then they give us a sneak peek. I'm trying to show it without glare here on the packaging. Give us a sneak peek of what's inside. So there are 2 41 card decks, each with a premium wizard or witch card. Decks do contain duplicate cards, so I won't go over them twice if we come across any of those. We also have a play mat, a rule book, and 12 damage counters. And then it says at the bottom for players age 9 and up, and we know that's not an issue for me. Now before I pop this box open, I'll just show you here on the side of the box, there's some small print. It says published by Wizards of the Coast, USA. But then here it says copyright 2001. So when I say that these are no longer distributed and no longer made, they went out of distribution probably 10 or 15 years ago now. So these are very old, shall we say. I know 18 years isn't that old, but still 18, 17 years. So these will be even more of a collector's item years and years down the road. But so 2001 was when this particular deck was distributed. So let's have a look inside. So this is what comes out of the box. It's all enclosed in one sort of plastic wrapped sleeve, and I would say that this might be the playmat. And then already, without even opening the decks, we do see a couple of familiar characters. We see Hermione Granger, and we see Draco Malfoy as well. So, some familiar faces already. I'm just going to pop off camera and take this plastic off because it's very noisy. So, I know some of you love crinkles, but I think this is a little over the top. Okay, just give me a second. All right, so we have deck number 1. This is the one with Hermione on it. And we have deck number 2, the one with Draco Malfoy on it. These would be little damage counters. So these look like they're made out of sort of paper, cardboard, something or other. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 times 1, 2, 3. So there's 12 on each sheet. And the game comes with 2 sheets of damage counters. And it looks like these have like a little crest. And I don't know if the H stands for Harry Potter or Hogwarts. I'm not sure. I would assume that if it was standing for Harry Potter, then they would put a P in there as well. But I'm not sure. So, there's our damage counters. We have the advanced rules. Don't read these rules until you've played a few games with the rules on the playmat. So these are some more advanced playing rules. Oh, this is cute. Attention first years. If you have questions, send an owl to the customer service team at Wizards of the Coast, and they'll answer all your questions about the game and any events that might be going on. And I guess this was 2001, so they're not giving a mailing address per se. They're giving an email address. So we are past Y2K at this point. And they give a phone number too. But no mailing address. So, just some little rules, extra rules about adventures, and let's see what else we have in here. I have never played the Harry Potter game, so this will be very new to me. But if a 9-year-old can play it, I like to think I can too. We'll see. They also give the basic rules, so if you don't have your playmat with you, then you can still learn the rules. And they just go over the different types of cards. Looks like we're going to be seeing some very unique, kind of cartoonish artwork. So very unlike the Magic the Gathering artwork that we see, which tends to be very fantastical and artistic in a much more detailed sort of way, not so cartoonish. So, creature cards, lesson cards, spell cards as well. Oh, my Tingle Minions, I was wrong. They do give their mailing address for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different countries of distribution. So, snail mail was still around for Wizards of the Coast in 2001. Though I don't believe I've ever noticed a mailing address on any of the Magic the Gathering booster packs that I've bought in the last little while, so they must have overcome that hurdle. Lastly, we have the playmat, and this is a very large playmat. So that's the length, and I'll unfold it, and I'm sure it will take up my entire camera screen. So it looks like it has rules and little guidelines, tips for players, places for you to set each of your different types of cards as you play them, a spot for a discard pile and things like that, as well as some little pieces of artwork there. That might be Hedwig. I think I saw Dumbledore on there as well. So, let's get into those cards, shall we? Okay, now I don't have a Magic the Gathering deck on my person at the moment, but it appears that these cards might be slightly bigger or slightly wider, but I'm not 100% sure on that. They feel kind of wider. So on the back of each card is a little piece of artwork that I think they've used for promotional material for the books before. I've seen this. And so it just says Harry Potter Trading Card Game. And then here's Harry Potter's forehead. Of course, with the little lightning bolt scar as well. So our first card is, of course, Hermione Granger, one of the main characters in the storyline of both the book and the movies. Now these cards are based off of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone, depending on where your copy of the book was published. So most of our cards will reflect that. And so she is, of course, a witch from Gryffindor. Now this isn't an image that initially kind of looks like the Hermione that we know, although she does have curly hair. But the little quote here at the bottom from the book says she had a bossy sort of voice, lots of bushy brown hair, and rather large front teeth. So I guess the picture definitely reflects that. She does look a little bit bossy. And this is one of the sort of foil cards as well. So I'm getting some glare and I apologize for that, but hopefully you can see the art there. And then just like the Magic the Gathering cards, they also have the card counter down in the bottom. So this is card number 10 of 116. So there are some rules for the game. They don't make sense to me yet because I haven't played, but it says, if you already have 2 or more lessons in play, then whenever you use an action to play a lesson card, you may play 2 lesson cards instead of 1. Hopefully we'll be able to make sense of that. Here's our next card. This is the Vicious Wolf. It is a creature, of course, and it deals 3 damage every turn and has 3 help, which I assume would be like defense in Magic. So I think these behave very similarly to the creatures in Magic. So he does look very vicious. There's a full moon there in the back. Now, some of these are duplicates, so I won't mention those. We'll gloss right over those. And so this one is a spell called Take Root. Your opponent chooses one of his or her creatures in play and discards it. And then it looks like there's a wolf and his back legs, his or her back legs, are a tree that has taken root down into the forest floor. So whether it started as a plant and then grew into a wolf, or whether it's a wolf growing into a plant, I'm not sure. But an interesting picture. Next we have a spell card called Incarceforce. Choose one of your opponent's creatures in play and discard it. So our last spell card, I believe, was that your opponent picked one of their creatures to discard. But with this spell, Incarceforce, you pick what creature you want them to discard. A little bit more power. This says, "I'm glad we didn't have to fight that one," Harry whispered, as they stepped carefully over one of its massive legs. And here is the creature they're talking about. Kind of looks like a gargoyle inside of, I think it's a cage, but it looks more like a chandelier. I wouldn't really want to be trapped in either one. But I would say he doesn't either. So quite a thick fellow, don't you think? So that is our spell, Incarceforce. Now we have another spell card called Hagrid and the Stranger. Put a creature card from your discard pile back into your hand. Very handy. And so here we have Hagrid, and the likeness of Hagrid is very close to what we saw in the movies. He looks very similar. A big guy with lots of hair, facial hair as well, long beard. And I think they're at the Hog's Head. Maybe having some butterbeer, some sort of ale. He says, "You get a lot of funny folk in the Hog's Head. That's the pub down in the village. I never saw his face. He kept his hood up." And that's from Hagrid. And here's our stranger, right over here on the side. He's got like a purple sort of cloak on with his face covered. And in the painting, you can actually see sort of an outline of a nose and lips, like a profile. But it's very hard to see. So he's talking to the stranger at the Hog's Head with this spell. Now we have a new creature, the Forest Troll. Quite a homely little fella. To play this card, discard one of your lessons from play. And I think this symbol might be care of magical creatures, possibly. So that's a particular type of lesson. I think there's also defense against the dark arts lessons and potions and possibly charms. So that little paw print symbol there indicates that it's the care of magical creatures lesson. So damage each turn is 2, and then its health is 3. It was holding a huge wooden club, which dragged along the floor because its arms were so long. And here he is with his massive club and big green arms that reach the floor. And interestingly, he has his ear pierced. So maybe he's a pirate troll as well. But he's got some hair on his head too. It looks like maybe it's in dreadlocks, possibly. So, just a simple little creature there. Now, here is a spell called Epoximize. And this is one of those cartoonish illustrations I was talking about. Choose one of your opponent's lessons. Now it has a heart symbol there, and I don't know yet what that symbol means. So the paw print is the magical creatures. The heart, I'm not sure yet. We'll find out. So you choose one of your opponent's lessons in play and discard it. And it looks like this is a spell that sticks someone's hands to whatever they're touching. So this poor young fella's hands are stuck to his desk after being dealt an epoximized spell. I don't remember hearing this spell. This might be one of the new ones that they creatively kind of put into the deck. If you have heard of this and I'm just mistaken, let me know, because I read the books and I've watched the movies a number of times, but of course that was quite some time ago, so I don't remember everything. But everyone's laughing at his misfortune here in the back, these characters. So we have another creature, folks. This is the Curious Raven. Damage each turn, 1. And he has 1 for health as well. And he's holding some sort of ring. I think crows are attracted to shiny things, aren't they? Crows and ravens. So maybe that's what happened, as he got curious and found this shiny ring. He looks very spooky. Straight out of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And we have another spell, the Aviforce spell. Choose one of your opponent's Care of Magical Creatures lessons in play and discard it. So here on this little table, we see a blue bird with lightning coming out of its talons. But there's also a few other implements around. I see a collar, some dishes, maybe for water or food, and then a textbook down here in the corner. So just a simple little spell. I wish I could shoot lightning with my feet. So this deck has 7 of the Transfiguration lesson cards. So it's all coming together in my head now. The lessons are very similar to land cards in Magic the Gathering, I would say. So Transfiguration has a butterfly symbol, which I guess is appropriate. Caterpillars and cocoons and butterflies and transforming something into something else. So this is Transfiguration lesson. And then there are 12 Care of Magical Creatures lesson cards. So that's the one with the paw print here on the textbook. So 7 Transfiguration and then 12 Care of Magical Creatures cards. Now remember, these are starter decks and they're made for a kind of a younger audience. They did distribute some more advanced decks and booster packs for players who wanted to advance. Same as they do with Magic the Gathering. You can get some very basic one-color decks that are better to learn on. They're not as complicated and they often contain duplicate cards. So this is a simpler deck. But that's interesting. So there's 2 types of lessons in this deck. We have Transfiguration and then Care of Magical Creatures. And that is the first deck, the one with Hermione. So our flagship wizard character is Draco Malfoy, and he is, of course, a Slytherin. I took the quiz to find out which Harry Potter house I belonged in, and I am also a Slytherin. So I guess he is my kin. I'm not sure. But here's Draco. He doesn't really look the way we think of him to look from the movies, but he definitely fits the description. So he has that very blonde hair, the kind of upturned, snotty-looking nose, some really mean eyebrows. That's some serious eyebrow game on this boy, right there. but this is also kind of a foil card, right? So they're a little bit rarer. So, during your turn, you may use an action and discard a card from your hand to look at your opponent's hand. You may then choose one card in his or her hand and discard it. And he says, you don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there. So that's Draco. And he is card number 3 of 116 total cards. Okay, folks, so I'm going to stop recording for a moment or a while, and then I'll come back. So if I'm in different clothing or I'm in a different spot, don't be too alarmed. My neighbor has an 18-wheeler, and he's working on the engine outside, and it's dreadfully loud. So I found like 5 seconds here where he doesn't have the engine on. So we're still going to go through the second deck, but I might look a little bit different. So hang tight, Tingle Minions. I will be back. Welcome back, Tingle Minions. We have returned. Quite a lengthy period of time later, but that's okay. People need to do engine repairs and mow their lawns and all that stuff, so we just finished looking at the Draco Malfoy card, who's kind of the face of the deck we're about to go through. Now, I was just flipping through this deck when we took our little intermission there, and there are some duplicates, so it won't take as long to go through this deck, but that's okay. There's still some really unique cards. So we started with Draco, and our next card is a spell card called Vermilius. And there's a wizard on here casting the Vermilius spell that I'm not familiar with. I don't think I recognize this individual, so if you do, let me know. It has been a while since I've kind of immersed myself in the Harry Potter universe, so this spell says do 3 damage to your opponent or to a creature of your choice. And this image kind of struck me funny because it looks like this character's wand is a magician's wand, like the kind you would find at a circus, with the white tip on either end. But maybe that's what it looks like, but he did go to Ollivander's wand shop and pick that one up, so who knows. So that's Vermilius. Now we have a creature next. And this fellow is the Surly Hound. Ferocious looking, kind of cartoonish as well. He has 3 health and he'll deal 1 damage per turn. When Harry knocked, they heard a frantic scrabbling from inside and several booming barks. So our Surly Hound here has a spiky collar and some fangs, and he looks a little bit tired to me. So maybe that would explain why he only deals 1 damage. He's just exhausted. So that's our Surly Hound. There's 2 copies of this in this deck. That way the person learning to play doesn't have to learn a whole bunch of different cards. So there's quite a few duplicates throughout the deck. So next we have a spell. This is one you'll recognize, called Stupefy. Do 5 damage to your opponent. That's a pretty big blow, honestly. And this is a quote from Albus Dumbledore. He says, I arrived in time to prevent that. So here's Albus Dumbledore casting a Stupefy maybe, or repelling it possibly, actually. But I do like this artwork. It looks very kind of comic book style, lots of colors. It's cute. And Albus's massive beard flowing around. Another spell. Accio. Put up to 2 lesson cards from your discard pile into your hand. And Axio, of course, is the summoning charm. It's hard to say who this person is. It might be Professor Flitwick, who's the charms instructor at Hogwarts. And this is a charm, so it could be who that is. But they are surrounded by books and a skull of some sort, some candles, so he looks like he's hard at work. Put up to 2 lesson cards from your discard pile into your hand, and the lesson cards are, of course, kind of similar to the land cards in Magic the Gathering. So you use those to fuel whatever it is that you're doing on your turn. Now, Magical Mishap, a spell. Do 3 damage to your opponent. Harry would have screamed, but he couldn't make a sound. So here's Harry in our picture. And there's little red stars and confetti around that I would say probably indicates that some sort of magic has gone awry. So he's running away from this magical mishap. So now we have a creature called the Boa Constrictor. Of course, is a snake. Deals 2 damage each turn and has 2 health. Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo. The snake said that. So just a simple illustration here of a boa constrictor. The snake here is pretty plain. He's just brown with a little forked tongue. So 2 damage and 2 health. So before I move on to the last couple of cards in the deck, just grabbed a Magic the Gathering card from my collection, and I wanted to show that over here on this corner there's a number and a symbol. So if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering or you're learning, then you would know that this reflects how many land cards you need to be able to play this card, and each of your playable cards has that. And the Harry Potter trading card game has a similar sort of system, and I probably should have pointed it out earlier, but there's a symbol up here in the corner, and then a number. So this boa constrictor requires 4 of the Care of Magical Creatures lessons cards to be played. And so that's kind of a similarity, another similarity between the Magic the Gathering and the Harry Potter trading card game as well. So our last 2 cards in the Draco Malfoy starter deck there are lesson cards, just like the land cards. And so there are a number of Care of Magical Creatures lessons cards in this deck. There are 10 of these. So there's that paw print. And then this one also has the Charms lesson cards. And there are 9 of those. And that's that little heart symbol there that we saw earlier. So I double checked. I went to there's like a Harry Potter wiki thing. And I went and double checked on the lessons. So there is Transfiguration, Charms, Care of Magical Creatures, Potions, and Quidditch to choose from. So there are 5, just like Magic the Gathering. So I only have now then Transfiguration, Care of Magical Creatures, and Charms, because these are basic decks, so they only come with 2 types of lessons per deck. So I'm actually very excited to play this, honestly. I might even laminate the little playing mat because it looks like it's going to rip at any moment. It's all folded up like this, which I think makes it a little bit more vulnerable to being torn up. So I'll try and remember to let you know how it goes. Well, thank you all for joining me as we took a look at these cards. There were 82 of them in total, but there were quite a few duplicates as well, it being a very simple deck. So I appreciate you spending a few minutes of your time with me. If you're headed back out into your busy day, then of course, I hope your day is stress-free. And if you're headed off to bed, then I hope you have the most wonderful dreams in the world. Until next time, sweet